My 23 female boyfriend, 23, and I talked about our plans for the future. For as long as I've known him, I've always thought about getting married and adopting kids. My boyfriend has never mentioned being against adoption until today. He said that he wants biological kids. I'm a trans woman. I can't do that for him. I don't hold him not telling me earlier against him because I did wait a month to tell him I was trans when we started seeing each other. However, I've always made it clear that my heart is in adoption. Today, he pitched me the craziest idea I've ever heard. He wants to get married to another woman, have biological kids with her, but it would just be an arrangement for those purposes, and I will be his wife in spirit. I asked what woman would agree to that arrangement. He says a very religious lesbian who wants kids. I tell him no one would do that, and he tells me I haven't met everybody. I tell him I don't want him being married to another woman, and I don't want to be his mistress. He says they can possibly annul it after a while. Not to mention, we're both Catholics, so we take religious implications of literally getting married to someone pretty seriously. He has an answer for everything, but none of his solutions ever make sense. I have no clue why he's doing this. He says he doesn't want to break up under any circumstances, but is he just in denial? I really don't want to break up either. How can I snap him out of this? It seems like he'd have to find a very specific person for this to work. Like, how many ultra-religious lesbians who need to get married to a man to have kids will be totally excited for their husband to have a girlfriend who helps raise the kids? Or do you just disappear when he parents his kid with his wife and only reappear when he wants your time and attention? It actually seems like he's decided he wants biological kids with a woman who can have them. He's letting you know you can stick around until he finds the woman he will marry, but it won't be you. Sorry. That really stinks, but at least he did you the favor of telling you now rather than 10 years from now. OP isn't into it, and I don't see how the line about a possible annulment is not really gonna make the idea any more palatable. Oh, I know you don't want me to be married, but I might possibly only be temporarily married. So we're cool. Right. Also, what kind of Catholic gets married with the intention to later have the marriage annulled? Hold on. You're saying that a very Catholic lesbian would refuse to lie about the most important sacraments of their religion and have intimacy with someone to provide their fake husband a kid they could raise with their trans lover. Randomly committing a handful of what they believe to be mortal sins. We'll get married, use your womb to make a baby, take said baby, then annul the marriage. Great. Where do I sign up? This suggestion is both ridiculous and incredibly insulting to you. He tells you directly that his desire for biological children is more important to him than respecting you as his life partner. That's his prerogative, but you should not ignore that information. You deserve better than someone getting everything they want while treating you like a concubine. This feels like him trying to find a way out of the relationship without having to say he wants out. You can do better and deserve to be with someone who loves you as you are and wants to have a family with you. As a trans person in a relationship that can't bear children, I can assure you a family is just as real no matter how it comes about. It doesn't sound to me like he wants you as a mistress. He sounds very clear about the fact that he'd be married to that woman only as practicality. Really though, he just sounds kinda dumb, and it's the only completely unrealistic solution he found to your issue. I wouldn't so much be anxious about wanting you as a side, but rather about him being delusional. He wants to marry another woman and keep you as his side girl and you don't want to leave. You want him to snap out of this? No. That's impossible, but that's his mindset. Honey, leave this man. He's telling you that you won't be number one. Don't settle. You can have the life you want with someone who wants it with you too. I, 27 male, work with my partner of 6 years, Jamila, 24 female. We've worked together for as long as we've been together, and most of our co-workers are aware of our relationship. We're married as of 2020. We recently took on a new intern, Olivia, who's in my department. I do most of her training and have been her mentor through most of her time here. Due to this, she spends a lot of her breaks with my group and me and leaves around the same time as I do. My wife, Jamila, comes to visit me during lunch, and there is light PDA. She'll put her hand on my chest, take a bite of my lunch, squeeze my muscles, the usual flirty stuff. It's not an issue usually, so I didn't think it would be one now. My wife came home crying last Friday as she'd been reported to HR for harassment. There wasn't any real repercussions since as soon as they opened her file, they saw that we were married. HR documents these things. I didn't know of anyone who could have reported her until this Monday. Olivia asked me if Jamila was still groping me. I asked her what she meant, and she told me she put in a report with HR because she saw Jamila grabbed my butt in the parking garage. To be fair, Jamila did grab my butt. However, the advance wasn't unwanted. I explained to Olivia that Jamila and I were married. However, she was firm in her belief that Jamila shouldn't touch me at all at work and that it sends a weird message to others at work. Since then, I've avoided speaking to Olivia if things aren't work-related, and it's been affecting her emotionally. I still greet her and say my goodbyes when it's time to leave, but she's asked to get coffee together. I told her I'd be spending my breaks with Jamila or another coworker, and I don't invite her if I'm going somewhere for lunch. She's been very sad and inattentive at work, and my coworkers are telling me to stop treating her this way because she was just looking out for my best interest. Am I the idiot for refusing to speak to her if it's not work-related? As far as introductions go, I told Olivia that Jamila was my partner. That is usually how the company asks spouses to refer to one another. Not the idiot. It sounds like you're keeping your relationship with Olivia purely professional, talking only about work, not socializing outside of work. That's 100% normal, and no one should make you feel bad about that. Olivia may have had good intentions when she reported your wife, but I doubt it. It's very easy for women to tell when physical touch is unwanted. Body language and fake smiles are a dead giveaway. If she reported Jamila even after seeing how you interact together, then that's entirely on her. I'm not saying she wants to sleep with you, but she may be jealous of the kind of relationship you have and makes her feel lonely and unattractive to see you both getting along together so well. It sounds like Olivia is sulking and is most likely embarrassed by her behavior. What she's doing is very childish and sounds like she's trying to manipulate your coworkers into thinking you're the bad guy in this situation. Not the idiot. I question whether Olivia's motives are as pure as some are giving her credit for, considering that she didn't speak to you in private about her concerns about the harassment and ask if you want to speak to HR. She just ignored your autonomy and acted as she saw fit. That is some serious overstepping in my opinion. Not the idiot. And it sounds like Olivia had a crush on you. It's absolutely over the top to report the level of PDA between you and your wife, especially when she already knew you two are married. Your wife didn't grab your butt in the office. Apparently, it was in the garage, and you didn't expect that someone was stalking and spying on you. Choosing not to be friendly anymore but otherwise professional is perfectly fine and likely a safe course of action. She should have spoken to you first. You might have dodged a bullet of her reporting you for harassment at some future point. I'm a child-free woman, and I've been with my partner for over a decade even though we're not married. I'm not super close to his siblings, but I generally like them. So far, none of them have kids. Anyway, a couple of years ago, I was recommended to an OB/GYN who was open to permanent birth prevention options through an ambulance driver that I was friendly with. Myself, I chose an IUD for now, but I'm generally very happy with the doc's services. He doesn't push for hormonal birth control, isn't telling me to have kids before I'm too old. Anyway, my partner's sister caught wind of it and asked if I could put in a good word for her. I called my doctor to see if he was taking patients, and upon hearing yes, she made an appointment. So turns out she had a hysterectomy. She had some other medical issues that could warrant that, and the doc agreed to surgery. My partner's parents found out, and they're livid at both her and me. They're still hoping for grandbabies and thought she might change her mind. They think it's criminal to do such surgery on a woman in her 20s, and they say it wouldn't have happened if I hadn't given her this doc's name, which might be true. I frankly didn't expect the doctor to do a full hysterectomy, but I think it's her body, her choice. She's been saying she doesn't want kids for years. Though I realized she might not have found a doc who'd do it if I hadn't intervened. Am I the idiot? No. You're not the idiot. She is a woman with free will. It's actually pretty crummy of them to push their want for grandkids onto her and then blame you for recommending a doctor. The doctor still has a legal obligation to do no harm. Most doctors are hesitant to do it on such a young woman, but she probably needed it. And, also, she doesn't want kids. Why the heck would they push that? That's what I was thinking. If the doctor agreed with this so quickly, there is a medical reason of some sort. Literally, all you did was call your doctor to see if you had a spot available. What she and her doctor talk about is nobody else's business, and you have zero control over what decisions are made. They'd rather their daughter go through a life-threatening pregnancy than not have biological grandchildren. I'm gonna leap right over childish and just call them selfish and entitled. That's ridiculous. Not the idiot. It's very drastic surgery for a young woman, so there would have been strong health reasons for it. If the patient was just unwilling to have children, tying the tubes would have been sufficient. The parent should be thankful their child is healthy with improved quality of life rather than wringing their hands over hypothetical grandbabies. Her body, her choice. Grandbabies are still possible through adoption or another person having one for her. I have horrible cycles and would love a doctor that understands. I'm also not ever wanting children, so I appreciate your view. They have no right to be upset since they don't and never will understand the pain of those cramps. Agreed with all of this, 100 times not the idiot. As I'm sure many can agree, I am so sick to the back teeth of people believing they get any say in anyone's reproductive choices. I'm also so sick of people trying to claim a woman will change her mind or like she has some kind of duty to give birth. Thousands of women are struggling with medical conditions only to be declined treatments time and time again. I have endometriosis and have finally found a birth control treatment that works for me. But I know a colleague who is still suffering and desperately wants surgery, but no one will give her one even though she's already 32 and adamant about not wanting kids. Not the idiot. That's not a child-free doctor. That's a pro-women doctor. It's horrifying that not all doctors give medical advice on behalf of the patient instead of a hypothetical person or worse, people's expectations outside of the room, but that's reality. I have no doubt if your sister-in-law wanted info on conception, the doctor would assist her. My wife, Mary, and I are in a relationship since 2011. We got married in 2014, and we have 2 young kids, male and female. Mary has a best friend, Izzy. They told me they've been best friends since elementary. She was my wife's maid of honor at our wedding, and she is the godmother of our son. Anyways, Izzy's brother had a brief relationship with one of Mary's co-workers. Apparently, Izzy's brother was a jerk according to my wife because he couldn't handle the co-worker being a strong independent woman. Izzy never told me her side of the story about her brother, but their friendship is at its lowest point right now. I don't know why they involve themselves so much in this relationship, and honestly, I don't care either. This morning, Izzy texted me by saying she has to tell me about Mary's past. She told me I'm such a good guy and I don't deserve any of this. I called her immediately and demanded to know what that was about. Izzy then told me everything. Apparently, my older brother James was intimate with my wife before we met for years. I had no idea that they even know each other. Izzy told me James was my wife's one that got away. Even though she wanted a relationship, James never wanted a relationship. He only wanted to be intimate with Mary and move on. I asked how long did that last exactly, and she told me it was between February 2005 and February 2010. Mary and I met at one of my cousin's Christmas parties in December 2010. Izzy told me Mary only started dating me because I look like James, and I was the consolation prize. Apparently, after I asked for her number, Mary called James and told him that she was going to date me and implored him never to tell me about our story. My brother agreed because he felt bad for stringing her along for all these years, and he also started dating someone else at that time. It actually checks out, you know. I'm thinking back to the previous family reunions. I remember my wife and James always striking up a conversation, and they would always laugh together. I remember James being supportive of our relationship, and he even told me never let this one go. Izzy then told me she's sorry for telling me all these after 2 kids, and she told me that she hopes I can forgive her and she considers me as a good friend. I thanked her for her honesty and I told her I also consider her a friend and we'll talk later. I can't talk about this to anybody right now. My therapist is on vacation. My 2 other siblings and my parents absolutely adore Mary and they would just tell me to suck it up. Almost all of my friends are also her friends, but I'm absolutely fuming inside. If I knew she was my brother's ex, I would never even have touched her hands, let alone date, marry, and have 2 kids together. I don't know what to do. It's been almost a decade. Did I lose this last decade of my life to a relationship with false premises? I don't think she's having an affair with my brother because my brother is a pilot. He lives 6 hours away, and he absolutely loves his wife, as far as I know. My brother is also biologically my half-brother. His bio mom died in childbirth, and we never enjoyed a close relationship. But I always respected him, you know. He was strong and smart, and he always protected me. What should I do? Just to be clear, Izzy and your wife are having some kind of falling out. Izzy has chosen this exact moment 10 years into your relationship, including marriage and children, to bring this up. I know you're upset and you have a right to be. The giant, however, on that is that you need to take a step back and realize Izzy's motivation for telling you this. She isn't telling you because she feels bad. She isn't telling you because she considers you a friend. She's telling you this because she's currently at odds with your wife. She is doing this for the sole purpose of causing trouble for your wife. Izzy is not your friend. She did not tell you this out of kindness or concern for you. She did this to hurt you and hurt your wife. Long-term lie. That's tough, and your brother makes it worse. I agree. Why the truth now? Is the friendship at its lowest between Izzy and Mary, so this is to get even? Or did Mary's coworker have similar ethics when it comes to relationships as your wife? I would probably go to your brother first to seek the truth. This is even assuming any of it is true at all. I wouldn't be surprised if the whole thing is made up. She clearly knows OP's psychological buttons to press. He hasn't even tried to fact-check with his own brother. This is really good advice, OP. If there is any truth at all to what Izzy has told you, I seriously doubt that you have had a successful and loving 10-year marriage based on your wife being with the wrong brother. There are a lot of other truths that may be compatible with your continued happiness. For example, your wife fell in love with you, and it didn't work out with your brother because of that. Only your wife and I guess your brother can tell you the truth, though. Good luck, fella. My wife and I have a daughter, Ava. My wife is a great mom and takes good care of Ava, but lately, I feel like she's spoiling Ava and not letting her be as independent as she should be. Some examples of this are, Ava struggles in school. So my wife emails all of Ava's teachers to ask for modified assignments. She has an IEP, Individualized Education Program, which I feel is unneeded, but that's a different story, and sits down with her every day after school to do homework with her or do projects or study for tests. I don't think Eva's done a single assignment alone this year. Then today, Eva assumed the weather would be like yesterday, 50 degrees and windy, so she dressed for that weather without checking the weather app on her phone or tablet. Today was 80 degrees and sunny, so my wife ended up sending cold water bottles to Ava's classes and made her spend recess and lunch inside. My wife is a teacher at that school, so that's how she was able to do that. So she wouldn't get heat stroke. It was only 80 degrees, and the lunch tables are all in the shade, so Eva would have been fine outside. Even an hour ago, Eva came to us and said that her head hurt since she was nauseous, so my wife is in Eva's room rubbing her back to comfort her over a stupid headache. In my opinion, Eva needs to learn how to function on her own, so I told my wife to stop babying Eva and to let her take care of herself. She can study for a test by herself or take a Tylenol and go to bed without mommy being there to hold her hand and rub her back and stop trying to get Eva out of situations like today. She can deal with being a little hot for a couple of hours and learn to check the weather app in the mornings. Well, now my wife is refusing to talk to me and is planning on sleeping in the guest room tonight, so I wanted to see if I was the idiot. Info: how was your daughter diagnosed? It makes a difference. The way your wife is acting suggests that your daughter has some sort of executive function or learning disability. If that's true, she's behaving appropriately, except possibly for the water thing. She has ADHD, anxiety, 2 autoimmune diseases, and low blood pressure. Holy moly. The kid has 2 autoimmune diseases and low blood pressure. Dude, the cold water bottles and heat stroke concern were totally justified, especially then. And also, yes, she should have an IEP and homework help from her mom and dad if she has ADHD and anxiety. Yeah. You are the idiot, pal. Please don't deny your child the help she needs. It's not babying her to support her mental and physical health. You are the idiot. Ava has special needs, and you seem to have issues with her issues being accommodated. Your wife is supporting and advocating for your daughter, and you're annoyed by it. Poor you. You have a wife that's a loving and attentive mother. Seriously, OP. Totally agree. OP thinks his daughter is spoiled because her mom is an engaged parent. Never mind that OP states his daughter has ADHD, anxiety, 2 autoimmune diseases, and low blood pressure, which is difficult for an adult to imagine, let alone a child going through the joys of puberty. OP, you suck because you can't stand that your wife is paying attention to your child. Grow the heck up and support your kid or have your daughter go no contact when she turns 18.